Hello and welcome to a tutorial in 3ds Max involving Unreal Engine 4. Um, I'm just playing around with the viewports here. If you're not acquainted, you should be. Control R to orbit with the perspective highlighted. And you just kind of see the grid there. Um, what we're going to do first is we'll check our customize our unit setup so we're on the same page here. So I'm using generic units. So if you have one UU equals 1 centimeter, um, I would switch to generic units for now. It generally works a little bit better because it works in inches. In automatic conversion, once you import a mesh directly from the Unreal editor. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do two versions of the import and maybe compare them. Um, it'll be one hopefully not UV'd except for the default. I'm sorry if you got misled. The default UV, so the fronds of the palm tree will show up as intended. So I guess we'll take from content 1C, not the foliage type, because that won't quite show up right. And we'll export this, and I'm just going to give it a really obvious name, palm tree 1C, re-export ed, re-exported. So can't go wrong with that. Haven't had that name before. Okay, so we'll go and import from the Haven Islands or Heaven. Imported NWI, and I should see that didn't happen, so export. Okay. Might as well cut this to upper folder, import it because it is NWIs and I keep them together. Alright, when we import, it's user defined. It'll tell you where you got it from, the file name and the directory. These final units is in centimeters, so that's fine. I'm using generic units for building. It just helps me think better. I've always used the imperial system, and however, geometry is smoothing groups. You must have those. You'll mess up if you don't. Animation, cameras, lights, and audio are all blank for me. You got to make sure though you untick them the first time and they stay that way. Units will be automatic in the UI. I like those checked. So when we first import, we're gonna have a couple issues. First of all is um, the material. If we press F3 after right clicking in a viewport in the gray area, I guess even on an object, you get the gold outline there. And then we'll hit F4. What we need to do is we need to right click and convert to editable poly. And there's a problem with the hierarchy, I believe. So if I uh, un if I delete the UCX and the underscore, um, I now have access to editable mesh tools, and I'll right click to editable poly. From there, I can attach the fronds, which only work basically from uh, right about here and up. However, they hang down a bit. So, um, what we're going to do first is select this entire element. Make sure it's on a smoothing group because if you check the geometry, it's a chamfer cylinder. If it was flat, I would recommend using polygon selection tool, taking the flat polygons and just simply for something like this, you would clear the selection, clear all. However, that's a chamfer cylinder, so we're good with that. But material ID is set to 1. And this is all we really need to change, except we will, all right, how to set up a material. You go to Maps, General, and then Bitmap to pick your bitmap. So I do have a bitmap here. It looks more like wood than the gold fronds. So Um, you want to show material and viewport on both, and then ID would go to 0, which equals 1 in the multi-sub objects. You right-click materials and go to scanline to find standard, and you pick a standard to get an Unreal Engine 4 like pretty much material editor type standard material, and then you would right click, go to material general for a multi-sub object, which I have here. It works just like Unreal. You will have 1 and 2. 0 would equal 1 as far as this, because, well, they don't do that anymore. ID is 1, so you can forget about the 0. That's a legacy issue. All right. And if we right click in the viewport, make sure it's active. We hit Control Hold and press I, and we have nothing inverse to select. So we'll just go to Attach, and I'll attach this object here. And if I select this and hit Control I, I'll get everything else. So this material ID is set to 1 now, and this should be set to 0. Okay, good. So I'm gonna assign a material to the selection, and I'm gonna keep the UVs just the way they are. Just plug it into 2. That will be your second, you know, material slot in Unreal. So if we go and export this, actually, what we want to do first is it's in the description. We're gonna modify with the vertices selection tool in Quick Slice. So we'll just kind of subdivide this by hand, no automatic subdivision, and we'll give it some nice bend detail. And then we hit bend, and we can rotate it something like this, and maybe give it a little bit of a twist. Okay, so what we want to do is right click, convert to editable poly, and it'll come out stupid looking. But if you press 1, you will have the vertices selected still. So you would just slide those into place so that the curves are better. And you can always take, you can always take a isolated selection and rotate them kind of like that, and then slide them. And you can do that with any vertice selection. We'll kind of do this because it doesn't really need to be too bent, and you won't see much of it anyway. But anyway, okay, so we have the material IDs. If we press M, we have the multi-sub object and 2 materials with bitmaps, and they're plugged into diffuse. We assigned material ID 0 for 1 and material ID 1 for 2, and then we plug them in. It goes nowhere. So we export selected, and let's just palm bent, and then re-export, and it can't have that that dash there, so I guess re-export it will work. So yeah, can't miss that. All right, smoothing groups needs to be checked because you won't get any smoothing on the the trunk. Keep getting the trunk wrong because I'm all over the place. Anyway, tangents and binomials help you diagnose problems, and preserve edge orientation is mandatory. Embed medium mandatory. Z up I like. If you're using Maya, you would use Y up. So anything similar. Binary Filmbox FBX 2018, and I want those logs and data. So we'll export that, and then we'll go back to Unreal and got some trouble in Paradise here. Let's go ahead and import the re-exported. Don't create new materials, and that's all we need to change. So we can open that up, and then also then go to content, search palm. It's 1C that we got. So just double click it and it'll open it right next to, and so you can search, browse, and it automatically selects. So you just got, and that's another problem. The fronds is here. So we basically have the same tree just bent, and we could do a lot with it. But that's the basic idea. You can stop the video now and just kind of mess with it yourself. But there's definitely some more we need to do. So what I'm gonna do is just select most of these. I'm gonna push them this way. Then I'm gonna actually, if I never did that, if I held Alt, I can just select groups and push them a little bit this way. And if I click on these, they'll expand. So it kind of, it zooms in where your mouse pointer is. So let's just get all these because we want these further away. And let's rotate these. And we want these to be over like here, I guess. Okay, so we have a good bent tree there. And what was wrong is the trunk. We hit element and we select the trunk. We need to apply a UVW map, and changing the material ID does not matter. So we'll do about 100 by 100 and the 128 height, which will give us basically a 128, but I'm going to shrink it down a bit, actually 110. So something like that. It's going to be a little more detailed than their version. Okay, so we're ready to export. And export selected, and then Rexporter. Remember that. And then media, and I'm sure everything is just fine there. So what we can do is go back to our folder for our mod, or you get the idea. Exported, we can just simply re-import and import. And now if we look at it, we have a palm tree. The UVs ain't perfect, but that will be one type of foliage. And LOD auto, I guess. I'm not sure why the texture is just so bad. Actually, maybe I do. Go to content and then fronds and fronds. Billbar. Okay. Leaves. Let's just try. I see. So for some reason, yeah, it's just not showing up on high quality. I wonder if not even sure how to change that right now. All right, so I have this selected, and I'm gonna stop the video here. But as you can see, the insurgency, the shoreline is a little messed up. I'm unsure how to do that. However, I can export it to 3ds Max and see what we can do from there. Since it's all water, I can just put a flat plane and kind of sculpt myself. We have these 3 huts here, and if you see what wind decorating, I guess they look pretty interesting. Got default pillows from Insurgency, just retexture, and I made this couch in 3ds Max with a little bit of detail. Got a nice aquamarine kind of motif going on, and some very nice pillows from NWI. And we have these 3 huts, and I'm gonna try to use the Chaos cloth, or at the very least, I can use a windroll material to block off some of the light sidelines for this deck here. And you see, I got, let's see, oh, I didn't even finish these. Once again, you need to multi-sub object. I didn't quite do that, and I didn't use cylindrical on these cylinders here. So you can see the water, and you get a little bit of a view through there. And the water is actually fairly deep, so let me just drop that down a bit. And do I have snaps on? I do not. So I'm not sure. Oh, right. You want to go to edit? No, transform. And then my location was locked, so just drop the water to like foot height, ankle height. Good. So that's better. And we see we have the club, which actually, I guess, like an arc or something here would be better. So I can always redo that. I still have the files, so this will come out to like maybe a spa, and I got the fronds looking better, kind of just looking pretty good actually. If we go inside, this is not textured, however. We haven't yet to go inside here. We got this nice, I see. Yeah, we got this nice spackle kind of material, and we get a nice flat gray matte interior with the dojo